I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with a cattle market summary for the week ending Friday, September the 25th, where this epic collapse of this cattle and beef markets both just continued. Both your CME cattle, futures, live cattle, and feeder cattle were both down hard Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Then for some reason decided to go limit up on Friday, but really that just made guys roll their eyes and really make comment on how disconnected the board is with what's going on. You know, you couldn't stop the cash market like that. It's like a freight train just moving on. You can't stop it on a dime like you can the board there, and it just goes to show you it's not a real true reflection of what's going on. Probably more than anything, it's just a bunch of shorts cashing in for the weekend, but there's just not a whole lot to look forward to, really. Our fundamentals have failed us, and a lot of these analysts can look at the squiggly lines on the charts and say what they want to about this thing turning around, but long term we don't have a lot to look forward to. Your fat cattle, live cattle, $4 to $6 lower this week, 128 to 130. Had a few live sales all the way down to 125. There was some rumors late in the week at they sold a few cattle a little higher, not higher for the week, but higher within that lower range, which they said might have caused the board to turn around, but none of that was anything that'll be reported or quoted or reflect in the weighted averages or anything like that. It's some kind of a sweetheart deal or something, but really nothing there that you could sink your teeth into. Feeder cattle this week were $5 to $15 lower. Just falling just so fast you can't keep up, and they were really trading at a discount to the board up until on Friday the September board went off, and now we don't have a net again. We're down to 184.60 on the close for October, and that was 260 lower for the week, even though it was limit up on Friday. Your calves are $10 to $20 lower than they were a week ago, and they're really suffering the brunt of this thing because there's just no class of lightweight calves that looks good to a backgrounder for him to purchase those and think that he can put some weight on them and turn them down the road, because he knows this thing is just going to keep going down too, or it looks like it's going to. So you don't have any of that. Your farmers are busy harvesting, so they're not getting in on those bigger calves to feed. Your real feedlots are buying yearlings cheaper every week, so they don't have a big need to get into the calves yet. And we got the mountain of calves yet to come. How bad is it going to be? Already in the last 3 months, most of your yearling weights have lost about $50 a hundred, and your calves have lost nearly a third of their value on some classes and weights there just in the last 3 months. But I go around and I like to convey on these reports what people are feeling, and what you're hearing out in the sale barns and out in the country and in places like that. And what I see is a lot of real disgust and guys, reoccurring thing that come back, being tired of what they do for a living now. You hadn't heard much out of them for the last 3 years or so because everybody was making money, but now everybody hates to get reminded of who's in charge. And with this big fast sell-off coming this hard and this early in the cycle and what we knew was coming, it just reminded everybody of who's in charge. And we're all talking about the global corporations that run agriculture in this country, especially animal agriculture. They own most all the cattle on feed. They own most all the raw feedstuffs. They own most of the competing proteins. They're kind of hard to handle, hard to compete against. But if we look at what could happen, we've heard people talk this week, or the last couple of weeks, about 1998 in the hog business, just rubbed all your hog producers out. Well, you don't hear about them complaining anymore because there's none of them left. The few guys that were in the hog business then, or still are, they all do contracting. They just have facilities there. Some big corporation sends them some feed and sends them some hogs and tells them go to work and do things as efficiently as they can. And they would love to do that in the beef business too. It appears that some of these independent commercial feedlots, the few that are left, are more than willing to go ahead and let them do that, because they already started to roll over and make sure that the packers have plenty of captive supplies. They've got sweetheart deals with them. They sell their cattle for 3 or 4 or 5 months forward, taking all the leverage away from the guys that want to trade. And I think that there's probably a lot of them out there that would like to reel this thing back in and get some leverage back. But the thing is that they're afraid if one of them does it, that their peers won't do it, and then they'll be stuck holding a bunch of cattle there that they have to beg for a schedule to get them slaughtered, similar to what the smaller farmer feeders have been having to do during this last deal where they've had a lot of big heavy cattle. And you can't do that when you got thousands of cattle on the show list every week. But these ranchers, and talking about the cow-calf men and some of your backgrounders too, they realize that it takes acres and acres and acres of grass to run a cow, and until somebody can figure out how to shut up cows and make them efficient in having calves, we're still going to have independent cattle production in this country, and it takes a lot of acres to do that, and I don't look for them to enter in any kind of a contract with a big outfit for a long time. But bad thing about this deal is this thing's falling off so fast here, is just everybody's lost a lot of money, and maybe not in their pocket, but they've lost their equity. And the percentage of their investment that they actually own at the bank, because everybody's borrowing money. And it's just been colossal how much equity's been lost just here in the last month or two, and it's a bad deal. It doesn't look to get any better. Your box beef was down $15 this week. It's the lowest point it's been since February 2014. And we look at what's happened to the Southern Plains. Just a couple of weeks ago, they were saying that the Southern Plains was really current and didn't have a whole lot of cattle left, but the reason the market was going down was because of the farmer feeders and some of the Corn Belt cattle feeders that had the big heavy cattle up there. Well, that's gone away too, because this week the cheapest cattle, some of the cheapest cattle that were sold in the Southern Plains. They trucked all them cattle from Nebraska and Iowa and places like that down into Kansas to fill those kill slots down there. And we've just now got to the point where at the smallest or the lightest supply of market-ready fat cattle that we've had during this whole tight supply cycle. We've just now gotten to that point right now, and we're not killing enough cattle to keep those cleaned up. So it doesn't bode well, as we know we're going to start building supplies up a little bit more and more next going into next year. Cold storage report come out this week, says your cold storage beef supplies are up 36% over last year. It's just the way our currency is running right now. The foreign beef is just a bargain, and our beef, our top quality and premium quality beef that we have, which is better than any place in the world, your countries want it, but they just can't afford it, the way the currency is running right now. But that pretty much wraps up your cattle market summary for this week. Check out DV Auction. See the South Dakota Angus Association's having a elite female sale Wednesday night at 7 p.m. And that's it from here, my home office here in Maysville, Missouri, and we'll talk to you on Wednesday.